right. Well, shalom and namaste to each and every one of you. I hope that you are in humility, humbleness, walking this journey that we call the experience of humanity, where conscious gets to find out who conscious is. Uh, it's quite intriguing. All that's going on, all that's being released, all the truths that are being really exposed. You know, I've heard lots of, and I'm pretty sure that they weren't referring from the things I've heard. They weren't referring to the things I'm referring to, but the words were true, and they came from some place where there's high intelligence, and that this year was supposed to be a year of exposition. In other words, things being exposed, and many people put their slant on what that is, and I find that it's really hard for us not to do that. Because we all have egos we're functioning as that we call our personalities and all of those things, and they are sometimes very destructive. And so the words can be right that the universe, that source brings, divine intelligence and divine knowledge can come to us directly, and yet we have to really be careful that we don't put our slant. And I fight this constantly, and often exactly what was said to me happens, but it didn't look at all like my mind thought that it was supposed to. And so it's good. I mean, that's part of who we are, but we also are supposed to be growing and lifting in intelligence and knowledge and insight and mindfulness and all of these other things that are supposed to be part of an awakened person. And it's really funny to me how many people aren't really telling the world that, although there are a few. I think Greg Braden is trying to finally to come around to many of the things, and he has been, that he teaches that the ancients are what we need to pay attention to. That's quite beautiful. So we're in the middle of a situation that is very, I don't know how to say it. It's not important, and it's only important if you believe. If you do not believe that there is something going on in the world, if you do not believe that we are going to live in the time and experience the next cataclysm that happens to humanity, if you don't believe those things, then none of this is really all that important to you. But on the other side, if you have recognized something beckons you inside that there is more, and maybe some of you even are sensing, because I know people that I've talked to that have been sensing just as I have, even before this knowledge began to come out, that there's something amiss, something's not right. There's unpeacefulness, unreadiness. Oh, well, you're not spiritual because you're not peaceful. And I love that some of the greatest psychologists in the world laugh and scoff at that nonsense. Folks, I want to tell you right now that unpeacefulness and unrest and anger and fear and worry and concern are as much a part of the human experience as pleasure and bliss and enlightenment and wonderfulness. In fact, you can't really experience those until you have experienced the other. So are they using it against us? Yes. And do we have the power to control that? Yes. But on the other part, you don't get the option to get rid of it. It's part of the human experience. And so there is a vast amount. It's what Yeshua was talking about gnosis, God-given direct intelligence and knowledge, and that is given to people because they are hungry and desirous for it. And it really shifts and changes what the real thing is all about, and even how you get there. And so there's no work. I shared on, to those that are willing to do the work. Well, I'm sure that there were people out there that don't want to do anything and they want free salvation. And really the work is really the work that you have to do with yourself. It's not the work with the universe. The universe is going to do exactly what it's doing, irrespective of anything that you believe, think, or do. You're not going to change the timeline. Now, there is truth that humanity as a whole, actually, we are at a place where there is an option to flip off a switch that was set 12,000 years ago. But at this point, what was the number? 750 million people must come to the place of total frequency connection And while we are having an awakening, maybe there is 750 million people on this earth that are all syncing up. I hope so, but if not, then there are some things that have been known are going to happen in this cycle that we're in and coming to the end of it. And so I just said a whole lot that would take you probably months and months and months if you worked real hard to understand all that I really just said. And most people don't have an interest to be honest with you. Just tell me the free way to get there. And there is no free way. The statement that straight is the gate and narrow is the way and few there will be that find it, folks, still applies just as much today as it ever did. It's not a Christian thing. It's a spirit thing. And so as we go along, it's so funny how easy it is for people in their minds to take everything that has anything to do with making them have to do anything or being guilty of anything. You can never be guilty of anything if you're going to be spiritual. And if you believe that muckety muck, good luck to you. Because the truth of the matter is a higher conscious person that accepts that responsibility. That's the difference. And so it really is crazy. You know, it is true. If you will just tell people that are mindless what they want to hear, they'll do whatever you want them to. And I'm not interested in being a part of that. Neither was I called to be that. And thank you, Brother Cliff, for your statement about the reason that I'm the person that I am doing what I'm doing is because Source needed someone who would stand up and speak the truth. And you're absolutely correct. So we left off in the Corpus Hermeticum last week at line 28, and we're going to pick up there. It's beautiful. But it really is. I hope that you're sensing and recognizing and being able to sort, diminish, and discern all of the different beauty that comes out of this. The message that you're hearing from me is being screamed at you all over reality. It's coming out of the ancients. The ancients were not lazy, mindless people. Neither did they enjoy lazy, mindless people. And so, as with Yeshua bringing enlightenment, what did he do? He accessed and caused offense to those same people. So it's really crazy. It is evident, but most people don't seem to want to see it. If you are one, then you're a very special person. And so he says, and when they heard, they came with one accord, whereon I say, ye earthborn folk, why have you given yourselves up to death? While yet you have the power of sharing deathlessness. Repent, O ye who walk with error, arm in arm, and make of ignorance the share of your board. Get ye out from the light of darkness, and take your part in deathlessness. Forsake destruction. And some of them with jest upon their lips departed from me. And some of you who've never been in the ministry and had to deal with people, that I've watched that go on so many times I couldn't count it on everybody I know's fingers and toes. Listen, just because you put the truth, there's a very small, minuscule percentage of people that are interested in the truth. Most want their truth. And that's real good. Live by it, believe it, but just understand. Everyone pays for what they believe. And if, you know, you're free to do it. Nobody's telling you that you can't. You can do whatever you choose to do. Your timeline will be created off of your thoughts. But understand, there's a price that comes with that. And so he's trying to get us to see that. Just so you know, did I tell you this is a really ancient text, like thousands of years before Christianity existed? These principles existed, not necessarily under this name, but they certainly existed 12,000 years ago. That is pretty much verifiable. And so, ye earthborn folk, and some of them with jest upon their lips, they departed from me, abandoning themselves unto the way of death. There will be people probably tonight that will hear all of this great truth I'm sharing and still fulfill exactly what I just read to you. It goes on all the time, folks. I had a church full of them in Christianity, and it ain't no different outside of Christianity. People are what people are. And so you get to choose. I mean, it's not like somebody's imposing that on you. You chose it yourself. So you get to be what you want to be in this universe in which we exist, contrary to what we were taught. And so they laughed and entreated to be taught, casting themselves before my feet. So the beauty there is those who see will show it by their humility. Prideful people will never accept it. They will never learn it. Humble people that are willing to say, you know, something inside of me says I need to listen to this person. I have someone who has been with me 30 years who said that same statement to me multiple times. When all of this change started 20 years ago, I said, I have to see what he has that I need to see. That's a huge compliment. And so he said, but I made them arise. Why? Because he's not prideful. We're all the same light. You don't have the calling I have, and I don't want the calling you have. It's just that simple. And so, but I made them arise, and I became a leader of the race towards home, teaching the words, the logi, how and in what way they will be saved. They shall be saved. It's actually more mandatory, more there is a fixed end than what will happen. That's kind of forced. And he says, I sowed in them words, logi of wisdom, of deathless water, were they given to drink. Of course, understanding water out of you shall flow rivers of living water is the concept, is the logos, the spoken word that God created everything that was created by the logos, by the word he spoke, and it was, that is still functioning in every human today. You speak, and that is what is. That's why the concept of you creating, there's a major question that any human who has any concept at all of reality would do well to learn and to use on a daily basis. Unfortunately, we've been taught our whole life that we're supposed to be an antenna, and we stand around waiting for things to happen. And I used to see this a lot in Christianity, the fakeness of all of it. And it's like everybody's waiting for God to talk to them. And that's, unfortunately, I hate to tell all of you Pentecostal, babbling, tongue-talking Christians out there that's not how it works, folks. The problem is we are all transmitters and we have no consciousness of it. You haven't remembered that you are the creator and that you are creating, and so you piss, whine, and moan about how horrible your life is, and you're the one that's creating it. I know that may sound difficult and rough to people, but it is the truth. That is the truth. And so once you begin to get a hold of that concept, then it's amazing how sometimes the simplest things in the world will fit when you go through things over and over as you begin to learn. Then it's really simple. One of the simplest things you can do is ask yourself, what am I transmitting right now? And you'll be amazed as you go through a day. If you ask yourself that 25,000 times, you'll be surprised at how much you will check yourself. Nobody needs to check you. That's when I talk about mindless people that never know why they're doing the things that are so out there that other people see. And sometimes it's just as simple as being mindlessly rude. You have no concept about how your behavior is affecting other people. And so you mindlessly go on doing what pleases you with no thought or conscience about the other people that are involved. And so that really is going to be a massive negative against people that function in that realm. It is a place that you should want to come out of. Come out of the unclean thing. God, the Bible is chock full of truth that has been corrupted. And so he says, but I made them arise, and I became a leader of the race towards home, teaching the logi, the words, and how and in what way they shall be saved. I sowed in them the words, logi of wisdom, of deathless water, where they given to drink. The word to drink, the water to drink, the water that will flow out of you with rivers, folks, is the word. The thing that most people don't want to hear is the truth, is the water that Yeshua was talking about. And it's the only thing that has the ability to help you. You know, it's so funny in all of this spirit nonsense, how you don't need anybody to help you. You already have everything. Well, that's really funny, folks, because we have over 12,000 years of humanity, and every human on the face of this earth needed people to help them. Even the greatest magi's that existed, even Yeshua. It's amazing how brilliant we are in this day. And so, but I recorded in my heart man-shepherd benefaction, and with my every hope fulfilled more than rejoiced. For body's sleep became the soul's awakening, and closing of the eyes true vision, pregnant with good. My silence and the utterance of my, once again, logos, begetting of good things. So he just told you that the words that you speak is what you get. That's why when people walk around and talk about how bad they feel, that's why they feel bad. You say, well, I have a pain or I have something. Of course you do, but that's not the problem. That is a truth. But when you begin to surfeit, he talked about surfeiting, and surfeiting has the concept of getting drunk on something. In other words, you get inundated, you get overwhelmed. A lot of people in our society are surfeiting on anxiety. They're drunk on anxiety, and everything in their life revolves around the anxiousness that they create. And the truth of the matter is the anxiety that's manifesting outside is nothing but a picture of the anxiety that lives in them 24/7. And so until you begin to be honest and accept that, you'll never understand, nor will you probably see the real reality of what's going on in the world. But it isn't just a cliche saying. We are creating our reality every second of every day. And just so you know, I have said it before, but there are many other people that are telling people out there exactly what I have, which unfortunately, it's not the fake show you put on in front of other people. It's all of those words you say to yourself under your breath when nobody else even hears it that is destroying you or lifting you up. And so all of this befell me from my mind. That is, man-shepherd word, the logos of all masterhood, the word of all masterhood, by whom, being God-inspired, I came unto the plane of truth. Maybe one of the most profound statements that exists, because every bit of it was true. Wherefore, with all of my soul and strength, thanksgiving give I unto Father God. Now, just so you know, this was interpreted from another language, so these religious Christian words you hear were not what the original words most probably were, at least in many cases. That's how they were interpreted to come to our English language. And so he goes into a thankfulness. Holy art thou, O God, the universal's Father. Holy art thou, O God, who will perfect itself by means of its own powers. Okay? As Yeshua said, as I am, so are you. Yeshua being the first human from existence, the beginning, before all of the archons and all of that stuff ever existed, Yeshua already existed. Humanity. And it's kind of hard sometimes for people to understand that we are functioning as what we know as humans, but the reality is the pure human, the real human is the spirit that we are, the consciousness that we are, the Yeshua, the Christ in you, the hope of glory is actually what the true human is. This corrupt stuff out here is nothing but trash, okay? The true human is that perfect, pure, loving, kind, generous, always benevolent self that exists inside of you that you work so hard to keep hidden. And it's really going to be amazing to people that continue on with this. Is the low density people that have no interest in truth, as they are wiped away out of your life and out of your timeline, and they will be wiped away out of your life and out of your timeline, as that begins to happen, you will see progressively as we go through the next 4 years that the people that are true spiritual, you'll be blown away at how kind they really are. See, what's amazing is that kindness is the sign of high consciousness. It doesn't say that kind, what is kind? Kind sometimes is saying the hard thing to somebody who's too ignorant to know that they need to be told. That's kindness. You don't leave them in ignorance. To tell somebody correction is to love them, not to hate them. But most have been brainwashed that anybody that tells me what I'm doing isn't right, they need to go to hell because I'm the one who knows. Follow yourself. That's all you have to do. Follow your ego until it destroys you, if you like. By all means, you should, if that's your desire. Maybe that's why you came in, was to be destroyed. I don't know what your contract is. But my contract was to come in to show light and show truth, which truth is light. So, holy art thou, O God, whose will perfects itself by means of its own power. Can I tell you, dear one, that that is exactly what you are supposed to be? The I have everything that I need inside of me is absolutely unequivocally true. And those that will perfect themselves will do it from the power that already exists inside of you. That's not the problem. The problem isn't that every human possesses the power to become divine, to experience their divine. The problem is the rest of that avatar. I'm just going to use that term because it gets into many different branches of a human being and how it controls their life. And so if you tell somebody that is ignorant the truth 25,000 times, do you know what will still happen? They still won't know the truth. Goes on all the time, folks. Hitler played on this. He said, as long as I tell a lie enough times till people start believing it, that's all that's necessary. It doesn't have to be true. I just need to convince them that it is. And the archons play that in your mind every single day. They tell you to do something and you immediately go, ooh, I got a thought. That's how I'm supposed to behave. I promise you, your higher self will never do 90% of the things that you think are you. Never. That's why higher self sits quietly over here and allows you to either bless or destroy your life. Your choice. And so very quiet, very passionate, very powerful, very moving is your higher self. Very passionate. So, how does God do it? He does it by his own power. How will you do it? You will do it by your own power. When people say that you must look inside, what's inside that you're looking at? The power that you already possess. That's the concept. And so, holy art thou, O God, who willeth to be known, and art known by thine own. You have no clue how many people hear things and can't believe them because they have no connection inside of them, folks. It's very sad, very destructive. On the other side, somebody hears it and they can be the least educated of 100 people in a room, and they may be the only ones that actually hear the truth. So it's really not going to be the people that most people think are going to be the ones. And so he says, holy art thou who didst by word, logos, make to consist the things that are. So I've already said that earlier to you, that the logos, the word, is how all creation happened, that has brought us to this point. And the Logos is also, that is to say, the words that you are speaking are also creating the reality that you live in right now. You have created it by what you've spoken, without a question. You can not believe it, but that doesn't change it. And so, holy art thou, of whom all nature hath been made an image. So now it's not man made in the image. All of nature is nothing but an image. It's nothing but energy. Your energy, you're millions and millions and millions and millions of vibrating molecules of energy that condense in shape and form and create an image. The image that you create is you. You think that that's you. And that's where a lot of people still are, even the spirit people that I've talked to. I ask them, I say, have you yet come to the place of disconnection from your human versus yourself? See, I don't even call it the higher self at that level, because really it's the true you. So have you disconnected from the fake you, and have you connected with the true you? And most don't know that that's important, and secondly, have never even begun to think about it. I'm quite sure you won't create what you don't think about. So remember, your mind is your friend or your destroyer. And so he says, who didst by word make to consist the things that are? Well, just so you know, because we are divine, you're doing the same thing. That's not just a God thing. This is one of the greatest deceptions that Christianity has put on us, is that somehow we're different. We're not different. And as long as you continue to believe that lie, you'll continue to live in it, but you're not different. If you ever get a revelation of how powerful you really are, that is to say that all those words that you mindlessly say and give no thought to what you're thinking about and that come to pass, and then you go, well, that's, I always are. God, there's so much of that stuff, and it's so difficult to overcome, but once you begin to see it and you have a few victories in recognizing it, the recovery time's faster, the ability to overcome hopefully begins to improve as you practice and use the new mind tools that exist. The thing about what am I transmitting? One of the most profound, simple little statements that you can ever change is a check-all for yourself. So you walk into work and your boss says something and you get a feeling, an emotion. The first thing that should pop to your mind is, what energy am I transmitting right now? And I'm not perfect at it, but I've already seen thousands of situations where it does. And it allows you to do what I've been talking about. So Source has brought me another tool to benefit a truth that was already given to me, and that is this: that you're sacred, your frequency is sacred. And saying that means nothing to most people. When you realize that your frequency is sacred, and the way that you do it is by recognizing what energy you are transmitting to the world, you have just gained, if you would, in the situation of a job, you just got a raise. Okay? Because now, if you know what you're transmitting, and if you're even conscious of it, which is really the biggest piece of it. And so I'll say these words, and 99% will go out tomorrow, and they will continue on the basis and never stop and ask themselves, well, what am I transmitting right now? And it's just that simple. What am I transmitting? And then be honest with yourself. Well, right now I'm really transmitting fear, or I'm transmitting anxiety, and guess what? All of a sudden things get fearful and things get anxious, and it just continues on this horrible cycle that's called your creation of your timeline. You have the power to stop it. If you don't, that's because you chose not to. And so, as we go, it may be slow, and I may be teaching at college level to beginners. I don't really know that. That's not my business to know. All I know is that what I've said to you tonight, every piece will at a level will revolutionize your life if you understand what I'm saying. And so, all nature has been made an image. Notice that the that's not saying has been made in an image of something. He's saying that all nature has a picture, but the picture is not the thing. Holy art thou, of whom all nature hath been made an image. Holy art thou, whose form nature hath never made. It's not a joke when it says no man has ever seen God, and nor will you ever see him. I had somebody tell me that they saw God in the sky and they knew that it was God, and they got very belligerent if you in any way tried to question the fact that they saw God, contrary to thousands of documents that tell you he's the unknowable one. You know, the whole concept of faith without works is dead. You can't see God except by faith. You can only see God in your mind because faith is nothing but your mind. When you say, I don't have any faith, you say, my belief system says this isn't real. Somebody who walks in faith says, my belief system says that it is real, and because I said it's real, I have created its reality. Watch it go on all the time. It's really been wonderful and enlightening for me to function and walk through life. It has a whole different complexion than it ever had before. And things that used to matter, and things that society used to put on people, they don't even mean anything anymore, although that's where most of the world lives. And so it is quite powerful. So, holy art thou, more powerful than all power. Let's see if we can grab this or wrap our brains around this. So, God is more powerful than all power, and I have his divine spark in me. You might ask yourself, am I really living the life? Or am I conscious at all of reality? It's a good question. The awakening to consciousness is the awakening to who we are. That's what they're scared to death about, is that you're actually going to figure it out, and then you'll control yourself and you'll behave, and you won't need anyone to tell you, because you don't need rules anymore, because your conscience is functioning at the level that it's supposed to. So it's not that everything you do is okay because you think it's okay, and that's what they're teaching out there. It's bullshit. Pardon my language, but it is. That's not how it works. As you come into consciousness, you know that what you're doing is either right or wrong, and you adjust your career and your path according to that. Not that it's okay for you to do whatever you think is okay. Sorry, that's a little bit strong, but it's true. You'd be amazed at what's going to come out of that. You'll see all of this is going to begin to manifest even more. There is shifts that's been going on, but there is fixing to be a shift to consciousness, and what you're going to watch, it's already happening, but people are not going to be okay anymore to accept stupidity from people who are low consciousness. I can't say that loud enough, and I can't say it strong enough. There is a time very soon coming when people will no longer accept that mess. That's why it's been so bad in the last years, is because that's how bad has to come before good manifests. And so that should be a dead giveaway for you. Holy art thou, whose form nature hath never made. Holy art thou, more powerful than all power. Holy art thou, transcending all preeminence. Holy thou art, thou better than all praise. Accept my reasons, offerings pure, from soul and heart, for stretched up to thee. O thou unutterable, unspeakable, whose name naught but the silence can express. We don't know his name, nor will we ever know his name in this realm anyways. That's why Yeshua said, call him Father. He says, give ear to me who pray, that I may ne'er of gnosis fail. So dig on this. Source sends people to tell people truth, and wisdom says that you should be praying. And I see this function. I haven't realized what's going on. So for me, this is a great revelation, because I'm watching this manifest that gnosis keeps coming. It's as if it comes to me instead of me going for it anymore. And I see it in everything. There's gnosis. There is divine knowledge in everything that exists on this amazing place that in which we live. And I simply have a thought, and tomorrow that comes to me. Do any of you understand that that's what this thing is supposed to be about? The power that we possess is the power to bend reality to our will. I don't know if I stepped out there too far for some of you, but they've been talking about this for 10,000 years, folks. It's what scares the powers that be. The Anunnakis who are coming back when humanity reaches a certain number, which we've reached. There's 12 of them. I sent some videos out to some of you. If you watch them and pay attention, you will find out we are at the apex. The alien arrival that everyone is waiting for, I'll give you an insight. It's the Anunnaki. The same ones who ruled this earth for 228,000 years, according to the list of kings that's 12,000 years old, existed prior to the flood. It is the knowledge that taught everything that there is to know. We learned agriculture from the Anunnaki. We learned how to build from the Anunnaki. All of that knowledge was given to us. We didn't learn it. It was given to us. And everything I've said is extremely verifiable, folks. It's revolutionizing the scholarly world, because they can't deal with the rate of truth that is being brought out. Why? Because we are at the end, and if you don't get it now, whatever happens for the next cycle won't matter, because it's 12,000 years long again. So you'll die 100 times before you get to that point. And so he says, "Give ear to me who pray, that I may ne'er of gnosis fail." Wow, how beautiful. Give ear to me that I may never lack divine knowledge, that I may never lack it. Which is our common, oh God, this is so beautiful. Which is our common being's nature. So it's not really so far-fetched when I tell you that people, as they enlighten, one of the dead giveaways is that they intellectually grow and prosper with doing nothing. They don't need schools. They don't need books. They don't need people to do that. It is something that comes from the inside, because it is a trait of the true nature of the higher self. The intellect is through the roof. We couldn't deal with what the true self knows. And this may be overwhelming to some of you. Maybe some of you never finished school. Has nothing to do with knowledge. It just has nothing to do with it. It's not about how educated or uneducated you were. It's about who you are. And so, may I ne'er fail of having divine knowledge. The thing that Yeshua carried the name, Gnostic. Gnostic is a word that comes from gnosis. Why? Because they believed gnosis, in divine knowledge, that God sends the words through us directly from the divine, and that is intelligence, and that's how he knew the things he knew. Everybody wants to be like Jesus. He saw things and did things and moved and all of this, and they sit in churches and they're enamored by this guy, and the picture for the whole purpose was for him to show you that that's who you're supposed to be. But there's people that left Christianity that can't deal with what I just said. In fact, they have no heart to deal with it. They're not walking around craving, seeking, begging God, please let me find out who I truly am. And outside of that, you'll never find out anyways. And so, may I ne'er fail of it, which is our common being's nature. Okay, now this text is several thousand years old, so let me ask you a question. What does common being's nature mean? What does that even mean? What is a common being, this common being's nature, whoever this common being is? So when these spiritualists, they didn't get something that came from some Pleiadian Federation light force God when they tell you that we're all the same. That knowledge is not new, and we don't need star people to tell us through channels that. It's been written down millions of times, who we are and what we are. Some of that is a huge part of the dog and pony show that the archons are going to use to destroy you. And if that's fine, if you want to live in that realm, it's fine. But if you don't, there is a way out of that realm. And that way out of that realm is higher intelligence and gnosis, knowledge. And it really doesn't happen any other way. And so, he says, which is our common being's nature. So when I say to you that we're all part of the one, it's what he just said. There is a common being that exists in every one of us. It's called consciousness, and it is the light, the divine spark that the archons gave us that is. And fill me with your power and with this grace of thine, understanding the normal term for grace. I've been teaching this for 30 years in Christianity. Everybody uses the term grace to over-exaggeration, and none of them even know what it actually means. To have God's grace is to have the expectation that his words are true and they're going to come to pass. And there is no other purpose or meaning in the spirit realm for grace other than an expectation of what has been said is going to happen. That is grace. I'm sorrowful that most Christians have lived their whole life and have no concept of that, but it took me 5 minutes to learn that. And with this grace of yours, that I may give the light to those in ignorance of the race, my brethren and thy sons. So here the real reality is, folks, is that it's not so you can be successful. It's not so you can show your manifestation powers because you're a multimillionaire off of the back of all of the people that are seeking for the truth, while you showed them how to make yourself rich. It's supposed to be about telling people how they can find their light and then expose it. And that's always been the call. It's never changed. I'm not some weird person out there. I'm weird because I'm following the true path. And it's foreign to people. What? Telling the truth is a bad thing. Pat me on the head and tell me how good I am and send me home, and I'll smile and be happy for 5 minutes. Never was the plan, folks. That's part of the lie. So if you like the lie, then by all means live in it. But I'm telling you, that's in the process of changing drastically. And so we're going to stop right there. Section 2. Well, let me go to the end of the page. We'll start section 2, and we may start back there again next week. But this is to Asclepius. Hermes. All that is moved, Asclepius, is it not moved in something and by something? Asclepius. Assuredly. So everything that is moved is either moved in something or by something. Your heart is moved by something. And it's moved in something. And must not that in which it's moved be greater than the thing that is moved? Are you seeing the concept of the picture that the paradigm he's already thrown in front of you? If you are the thing that the thing is in, you must be greater than the thing that is in you. And Asclepius, of course, because he has wisdom, says it must. It must. If all that you want is to live and die in a peaceful la-la land of lies, then the truth can never come to you. Because the truth doesn't exist in that realm. Whatever the housing is must be greater. And when I say housing, I'm talking about the spirit that is in us. Must be greater than the human mind, the human self. And so we all have the potential, but not all are willing to accept the reality. So, and must not that in which it's moved be greater than the moved? It must. Mover, again, has greater power than moved. That's why I use the concept of the heart. It has, of course, the nature furthermore of that in which it's moved must be quite other from the nature of the moved. And for some of you, these may be very archaic words and maybe they're even confusing to you. I'm sorry, I don't know how to, I understand what's being said, but I don't know how to tell you what I see and what I understand. It must completely. Wow. I really will stop there because it ain't going to get no shallower the further that I go. So for those of you who are out there, you say, well, I'm kind of perplexed because it seems like you say on one side that these things are greater and grander than anything maybe that I've ever imagined, and that is true. And the only thing that can bring that to a place of reality for you is you. When what happens to you becomes more important than who you are as a human, if your cell phone is more important than learning truth about reality, then your cell phone is who you will follow. And I know that many of you may not understand this, but I'm not the only person that struggles with this. Greg Braden is all over the world, all over television, telling people you are becoming a mindless robot. He says it in a very nice words, which I haven't completely learned how to do yet, but I will master it. He has immense, great fear for what is happening to people because of artificial intelligence and their cell phones. Half of our society believes that what's important is on their phone. You're doomed. Keep playing your video games and turning your music up real loud. It ain't going to help you. You're going to die in that cell phone. Good luck. It just is, folks. We're living in a day you don't have much time. If the ancients' words are true, there's a major event going to happen in a year and a half from now, and in 4 years from now, you may not be surprised at what's coming. But then again, you might be. Not a bad thing. Those people who understand are not scared. They lived through the last flood, and there will be people that will make it through what's coming. That's very clear. The ancients told us that. But it is coming to within an hour. So that's not to put fear in you. It's just, this is a wake-up call. Thank you again, Brother Cliff. Everybody's sleeping, and somebody needs to turn the alarm on. Your words were absolutely correct. And people that are sleeping that don't like the alarm will hit the snooze button, and they'll go right back to sleep. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe 2 days from now, they'll change. They'll say they're going to change, and then 3 days from now, they'll be no different than they were yesterday. Goes on all the time. So it is vitally important. But it's only vitally important if you believe it is. If you don't believe it's important for us to learn the things that are being put in our face, that are coming out of nowhere on every level, ask yourself, a common simple question would be, there has been more knowledge come out in the last 2 years that has been held by humans for over 100 years than has happened in the last 100 years up to this time. Why is that? Why is it that all of these scholars who have read the ancient Sumerian text and then quit their job in academia and have died shortly after because of what they saw, but they were scared to teach it? He just told you. I'm going to tell you a thing that you may not understand. It's not if you choose to. The only purpose for you on this earth is to show light and tell the truth to other humans. And if you do not fulfill that contract, you have not fulfilled any contract. It's not an if. Somebody tells you something and you halfway believe it, and you walk by 5,000 people the next day and offer them nothing. Let me show you the 3 things that it says. What did you give to people, but then allow them to do for themselves? Why do I say things like, if that's what you choose to do, then by all means do it? Because I have no desire. I'm simply telling you the truth that has been revealed. What you do with it is your business. Because that's going to matter when I stand in front of consciousness in the assembly. When I die, it's going to matter. But all of them are. All 3 of them are. What did you take that wasn't given to you? You don't want to get into that one. And if you're not serious, you don't want to get into that, because you're just going to destroy yourself. Because if you ever look at the reality of how much you've taken from people without ever asking them, was it okay? You think you got away with it all this life, but you didn't. And you're never going to. It's going to be brought in front of you. It's going to be the thing that brings you back in to suffer again, or allows you to be free and move to the next level. What did you take that wasn't given to you? That's heavy. But nowhere near as heavy as the next 2. So, for those of you who may not know, there are many, many, many instructions that have been hidden from us and withheld from us. And what's so funny is that none of them argue. In fact, they were the precursors. The Gnostic wisdom that Yeshua had came from the Sumerians. The knowledge has existed forever. It's just been hidden from us. Just like the fact that you're divine. And so there's no need to fear. I think that every person has to choose whether they're going to look inside themselves and be real, or whether they're okay with how they're going and they think it's all going to be all right and they'll get out of it. And if that's your belief system, by all means do that. But for those of you who hear and feel what I hear and feel, you ain't alone. For those of you who've had people laugh at you because you know that there's more than what they do, don't worry about it. It's not your concern. And for those that can't hear it, if you can't hear it, you can't hear it. I don't know how to help that, but I know that it wasn't something I saw it. So all I can do after that is just simply tell you that it exists and leave it up to you to decide whether you do anything with it or whether you do nothing with it. And so, unfortunately, the probability of the statistical numbers that have been propagated say that most won't. So I hope you guys are special. I hope you guys have been hearing, and I look forward to my trip down there in the future. I think it's very, 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 very important that you guys get some hands-on help, if I can say it like that. So Peace to each and every one of you. If fear crept up inside of you, fear is almost always associated with lies. And there's two sides to every story. And so maybe you need to ask yourself, is the story that I believe is true, is that the lie? Or is everything that is manifesting the lie? Judge well. Shalom to each and every one of you. Peace. You are greater than you have any clue of, even if you never find out. Namaste.